Thanks, Alan. Hello, everybody, and thank you, Auntie Val and Sharon, for your welcome to country today. I would like to pay my respect to Aboriginal elders past and present from the Blue Mountains and extend respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in the room today. It's wonderful to see you all here and to have such a diverse and interesting lineup of speakers in the room, and I just want to take this chance to personally thank the speakers for your time spent preparing presentations, workshops, and for being here today. This is the first forum in the Blue Mountains that we've had that's very explicitly focused on changing service systems. The other forums that we've had have done it more in the room. What we're hoping to achieve today is some literacy about how to describe that work and some knowledge of the different frameworks that are being published and used in New Zealand, here and in the States around this work. The other summits and forums that we've had have focused on other content, which I just wanted to review some of the key ideas that came out of that so that we all start on the same page today before adding the service system stuff. So that's what I'm going to talk about in the next 10 minutes. But briefly, I want to say a little bit about the Stronger Families Alliance before we start and the design of today. So, does this work? Yes, it does. So the Stronger Families Alliance is a Blue Mountains collective impact type initiative aimed at increasing the well-being and resilience of the city's children and young people. This year we've formally increased the population the initiative targets from the age of 12 to 18. So before we went as far as 12. So that's new news that I'd like you to all leave knowing about today. The Stronger Families Alliance has a shared set of outcomes or results and agreement about effective practice to reach these outcomes, and it's outlined in our Child and Family Plan. And the ideas I'm about to review are all in the Child and Family Plan if you want to go back. And when you read the Child and Family Plan, you'll see that it now needs updating to include young people, so that's a project on our plate at the moment. We also have a governance system, which is really a fancy word for saying a way to organise ourselves with so many stakeholders. How do you get everybody involved so that we work effectively together? What I'd like you to know is Stronger Families Alliance is an open network. If you want to join, or your organisation, go to our front page, and on there is a download about how you can get involved, who to contact. And some more, and you can dig around on the website to find out more. So I'm the first person to ring about that once you've read it, so please ring me. My phone number and email address is there if you fall into that category. And secondly, there's a link on the page, the front page, that will eventually, in the next fortnight to a month, take you through to video footage and handouts and PowerPoints for today. So we hope that if you hear something people in your team would also like to know about, that you can show these links in team meetings or whatever. We're going to divide up the videos so they can be in 10, 20-minute slices. So a bit about the design of the day. Our intention is that you all make lots of your own individual learning connections, but amongst these, here are the learnings that we have targeted. First, that we all increase our knowledge about how service systems and community infrastructure shape outcomes. And for us, that's for children, families and communities. I know there are some people in the room who are here with a different target group in mind, so you too will get something out of today. Next, and this is an important one, we want to increase our knowledge about emerging new strategies to improve service systems. And there's been a flourishing of publishing about this in the last couple of years, and that's really the reason that we've convened this forum, to make sure we're all up to date with that. We've tried to compose a panel of speakers that will give you a diverse set of perspectives on this material, and we've structured workshops in the afternoon to really be facilitated dialogues where you can have a chance to speak with the presenters and a small group about what you've been thinking in the morning and what your questions might be. In the Blue Mountains, we are focusing our efforts on a shared measurement and evaluation system, and so 2 of the 4 workshops are dedicated to that. And I know that a lot of the content that you'll hear this morning is also focused on that. And lastly, last outcome is that we all as individuals increase our understanding about what we can do to be adaptive leaders to change the service systems that we're part of each day as we work. So in 2007, we had Professor Frank Oberclade work with the group, and he said something that I think is really important that I've repeated since, and that is that there is no they out there who will fix things. For a lot of our children and families and communities that we work with, we're the they, and at every point we're the they. So it's about what we do together. We hope today offers you a space to think about what you're already doing to be part of the we, changing the service systems and getting that community engagement happening with the way that we work, and give you some new ideas. And just ahead of time, I wanted to thank the Centre for Community Child Health and also the 1020 Foundation for some of the information I'm about to present. So some of the key ideas, to run through them really quickly, because for most of you these are familiar. First of all, there is now a science of human development and child development and young person's development in our case. A convergence of evidence from many disciplines now gives us a good idea about what needs to happen for children and young people to enter adulthood, ready to contribute, to be well and resilient. New imaging technologies enabling us to see how brains grow from birth through to adulthood have greatly informed this knowledge. While we are born with a genetic roadmap, nurture, what happens in our relationships, plays a primary role in determining outcomes, and we now know from epigenetics even how those genes express themselves. So it's powerful stuff what we do socially. This slide shows synaptic growth or brain wiring of a child at birth. And by the age of 6, these roadmaps, wiring in the brain, have increased remarkably. And what grows children's brains is their relationships. We say that relationships literally sculpt the brain, so literally is literally there. Key times for brain growth and sculpting are the ages of 0 to 3, when the brain is growing really rapidly, and then again in adolescence when the brain is rewired, which is why we now focus, amongst many other reasons, on the ages 12 to 18. And thank you for putting that on our agenda for the last 4 years, and it's worked. Slides like these have been very motivating for everyone from practitioners to policymakers and economists. On the left-hand side, we see an image of a fully formed and active brain of a child who's experienced positive relationships in life. And on the right-hand side is a slide of a child who's experienced neglect. And you can see for this child that the temporal lobes of the child, this bit here, that are regulating, to speak very broadly, emotional regulation and managing of information coming into the brain, and not lighting up in a response to a task. And that's because they're either not there or not dense enough to be useful to the child. And the reason I'm showing you this slide is because we know that when we show this slide to community members, it's really motivating. Seeing is believing. Yeah. And so you can't look at a slide like this or read about children in this situation or work with children in this situation without asking yourself, what can we do to prevent this sort of outcome? In the Blue Mountains, the second key concept that's really informed our work here is that of prevention and early intervention. And we've been informed about this work from lots of different perspectives, including that of Nobel laureate Heckman. And his work showed that public funds invested earlier in the lifespan give a better dollar return than public funds spent later. So that's the first perspective on prevention and early intervention. And the second one that we use in the Blue Mountains is this one, which is early in the life of a problem or issue. So here we have a slide that shows that from an economic perspective. When we work to intervene in problems early and prevent them, we have a better likelihood of being successful. So that's the intervention effectiveness on this slide, and spend less public funds in the process, the cost. So simple stuff that we know intuitively that's kind of hard to argue with. It's about doing it that's the issue. The next big concept for us is the ecological view of child development, which is also featured in our child and family plan. This is a very famous slide representing the work of a man called Bronfenbrenner, and the diagram shows the ecological view of child development, and you could put any human in the middle here. It shows that child development is shaped by multiple system levels: the family, neighbourhood, community, and broader socio-economic spheres all have an influence on children's outcome. So while children's immediate relationships, what they experience face-to-face, is vital to their development, the larger invisible relationships that shape in this diagram also shape their development. And we have a lot of empirical work now to support this. So for me, this would be one first easy to grab onto systems diagram. And like I said before, you could put anyone in the middle there. So I know we've got some people here today working in the mental health field. You could put a person experiencing a mental health issue in the middle there. So if high quality relationships across systems level determines the outcomes of a population of children and families, so in our case, this is a quarter of our population in the Blue Mountains, how do our systems look now? Is that them all? Oops, sorry. So this is just some of the systems. What we have as a community level is a systems of systems, something that's quite complex really, serving our children and young people. Each box represented in this slide is by and large funded to work in a silo. The design of this system is a legacy from the turn of the century when these systems were set up. It was a time before the massive and rapid societal and economic changes that define the complex era that we now live in turn have created complex issues for a lot of the children and families that visit our services. So it's kind of a bit outdated as a way to solve problems, and that's why we're in the room today. Not just solve problems, but create wellbeing and resilience. So another way to look at how service system might be represented in complex ways, this is a model of one child trying to receive the right set of services. It's a pathway flow. And then if that's complicated, try this one. This isn't art, this is an actual representation of how obesity happens in Australia. So you can see why we're having trouble solving this one, right? So, what are the methods for joining up our service systems to enable them to focus on creating well-being, preventing problems, and when problems emerge, acting early, and with an empathy and wisdom in each of us that's born of a true understanding of what people are experiencing. What do you do? So if we do nothing, we get silos. And from then we can improve the state of our systems through networking, coordination, collaboration, and finally a systems transformation approach such as collective impact. These types of relationships, networking, coordination, collaboration, can be applied at a team, service, regional or whole of government view. And to get an overview of this work, go to the Child and Family Plan. And then the last one down the bottom is a bit of a representation of what it looks like when we're working more in a collective impact framework, which is what we're here today. So with a systems change type framework, what we have is a whole lot of stakeholders who create a joint vision, set of outcomes, measurement system and understanding of effective practice, in our case for children and families. With this created between them, the stakeholders in the community, they then work individually in networks and coordinated groups and collaborative structures to achieve the vision and results of the group. So, different way of working. And this would be another way to represent it they work at each of these levels simultaneously. So that's the work we're involved in, and we probably know a lot less about how to do it than we know less than we need to at this point in time. It's new work, it's experimental and audacious and quite ambitious, but the people involved are doing it because they know that other ways of working don't work, so that's why we're here. So, there are the different levels. Nice picture. We've asked each of our speakers today to talk a little bit about what they see as the shining light type people they've come across in their work changing systems. And that could be a person from the Prime Minister to a top level bureaucrat to a service manager to a practitioner. What do they see these people doing? And we're hoping that when they talk about this stuff, you recognise what you're doing and get some new ideas. So I'm going to conclude in a similar way, but also at the same time, sorry to surprise you, Di, ask Di to come up to the podium today. Sorry. You don't have to say anything, Di, you just need to stand here. Yeah. So, Di, we wanted to use today to formally say goodbye to you on behalf of the Stronger Families Alliance. For those of you that don't know, Diane's been appointed as CEO of the Australian Research Alliance for Children and Youth and has made us all very proud. Today's a funny kind of strange circle because Ross was involved in setting up this organisation that's really helped our work in the Blue Mountains. And now I'd like to say a little bit about why Di's a bit of a shining light when it comes to systems change, and you might hear some of yourself in this and get some ideas from Di. So first of all, Di, we want to thank you for your utter dedication and contribution to the Child and Family Plan being written and produced as a document of excellence that would be actively used every day in our city, which it is, so thank you. Secondly, for the way you patiently, which is what you need when you're changing systems, with long-term vision and total commitment, sat with the process of hatching the Stronger Families Alliance, which in turn gave everybody around Di confidence. And there'd be a lot of people in the room today that knows what it feels like when Di decides to sit behind you, then you can achieve anything. And thirdly, Di, because I'm only allowed to say three things, for the way you role model keeping an empathy for children and families at the heart of the work. So, Di, accept these flowers and this card to say thank you and goodbye, and you'll be missed.
I kind of don't know what to say right now. It's just been one of the most amazing experiences being part of the Stronger Families Alliance and actually seeing it come to fruition and seeing all of you people sitting in the room at this point in its life. I wasn't expecting this, so I didn't have anything prepared, but I've just absolutely thoroughly enjoyed working with all of you, and I know that I'll have new connections in my new role, and we'll be shining a light on the Stronger Families Alliance, let me tell you. Thank you.